big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was once forebodden. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I'm the all-time champ of the 1999 to 2000 Budokai Tenkaichi Championship, Fat Cat Nickels.
And today we have some hot communism talk. Broadcaster Nickels, what do you know about Yuri Bezmenov and his cameo in Warzone?
Nothing.
You were there, though, right, when that special event happened? I believe that your computer crashed in the middle of it. But you were there, right?
Seems about right. Just having some CPU troubles back then.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Like, it was only available for like 5 minutes, basically one match. If you were online at the time in the lobby, you could do it. And it threw you into the Warzone map with no UI. The UI is like EMP'd out and it's all fuzzy and shit. And it just drops you with like 100 people randomly around the stadium. And basically nuke sirens start going off immediately and the collapse just starts moving and you're just running. The entire mode was just you running for your life away from a nuclear blast. And as you were doing this, videos would start playing in the middle of your screen as you're running of KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov talking about the evils of communism as you're running away from this nuke in Warzone. And I gotta say, it's probably one of the greatest examples of guerrilla marketing in video game history. I was shocked by it, and I don't think very many people even saw it or were a part of it because of how limited it was in scope.
Yeah, it is pretty genius. I mean, rather that person's going to be on the really wrong side of time, you know? And he's going to be one of the first ones to get the wall when we have a communist takeover here in the near future. Or he told the future and he knew shit was going to turn. He's like, my game's about to be meta as fuck.
Yeah, and it's interesting because since that moment, everything I've seen about Cold War has been encouraging. The trailer for the storyline looked really good. I loved seeing not Nixon. God damn it. What's his name? The president, Ronald Reagan. God damn it. Broadcaster Nickels, do you know any presidents? Can you not help me out on President Quiz Night?
Wow. I know.
Jesus.
I know Roosevelt.
Bob Dole.
Bob Dole. Let's talk about Bob Dole a little bit on the podcast tonight.
But yeah, Ronald Reagan, it was cool seeing him in the trailer. The way they did it was super realistic. Like, they really accurately made him into a video game character. It wasn't like a likeness. It was a straight up mocap of the real Ronald Reagan. I thought that was very interesting. Wow. And
I need you to stand down and stand by with that comment.
And I like the whole tilt of the story that you're basically your CIA, your spooks. And I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I just laughed that there's Robert Redford in there. I clearly saw Robert Redford's likeness in there. And every time I see Robert Redford, I just think about back to this time when I was bartending and this lady came up to me and she just like, I don't know, she must have been like maybe mid to late 50s around there, and she's just like, you look just like a young Robert Redford. And I didn't even know who Robert Redford was at the time. I had no frame of reference, right? And I had to Google it on my phone right then and there. And I was like, who the fuck is Robert? And I was just like, all right, he's a handsome chap. And then I realized, holy shit, it's Mountain Man. Robert Redford's Mountain Man.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, Robert Redford aside, what do you think about the news that this is using the Black Ops 4 engine, or at least a upgraded version of that, and not the brand spanking new Modern Warfare engine that just came out for the Infinity Ward version, because I'm shocked by that. I still can't believe it.
I mean, I can only speculate, you know. I can tell you from user experience with Warzone and Modern Warfare in general that the size of the game is just intense, and I maybe Raven and Treyarch, maybe they saw that and they were like, there's no way we're going down that route where we're going to deliver people another fucking 250 gigabyte game, you know.
We're not Bungie here, folks.
Yeah. No shit. Bungie blushes at Modern Warfare, dude. I think Destiny's like 70 gigabytes or something like that.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten out of hand with it. And I think that the whole like installing shaders nonsense is a big part of that, but I'm not exactly sure.
I mean, that could be it, though. I mean, I think I guess what I'm trying to say is the first thing that comes to mind is there's probably some glaring weaknesses that we only get a glimpse of on the user side of the game that underneath translate to some very, very bigger problems that Treyarch and the other subsidiary studios that are helping make the game just don't even want to fucking deal with, which makes them go all the way back to the previous gen and just refine it.
It does seem like a bit of an indictment because at the end of the day, Infinity Ward and Raven and all these little Treyarch, all these subsidiary studios, they're all on the same team. And Activision could easily tell Treyarch, hey, we just spent a lot of money on this new engine. You need to use this engine. We don't care if you like your old engine more. You need to use this. We want you to use Warzone. We want Warzone to be a part of your game, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, and instead, we have Black Ops 4 upgraded. It's not going to have Warzone natively, which means, what do you think? Do you think Warzone's going to its own client now? Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say you can just take off the tinfoil hat just for a second and think that it is Activision Blizzard, and they're just greedy as fuck. And maybe they have other plans. Well, as far as budget goes, I should say, Warzone, the free-to-play game, the one they said is going to be running parallel alongside their upcoming Call of Duty, and for what we can only assume maybe to the next Call of Duty after that one, that the budget to make sure that game inside that engine is working properly for the next 2 years to come is going to be, quite a bit. So maybe they made a decision where it was like, well, all the money developers that know how to work on that engine are going to be doing exactly that. Updating Warzone, making sure it's running well, making sure it's going to run alone, or whatever plans they have to actually present it, if you will, alongside the new Call of Duty. All the meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, you have Cold War, where they're like, shit, we don't have a lot of money, or we don't want to spend a lot of money on these two games. So they saw a way to save money by using another engine that's already well established with the studio that's already going to be making the next Call of Duty. So it's like a glove that already fits. They save money like that just alone by having user experience on the engine itself. I mean, if I'm looking at it from a business perspective, which Activision Blizzard absolutely is doing, I think logically that's what happened in the boardroom, or not the boardroom, but on the financial side.
I like how your entire theory pins on the fact that Activision actually gives a fuck about Warzone being stable or bug-free or cheat-free.
Well, that's just bare minimum. That's just them. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. They made a statement. They said Warzone is going to be free to play, and it's going to be available with Black Ops for Cold War. And then all of a sudden we find out that they're two separate things, yada, yada. I mean, you got to think. I mean, even if they don't give a flying, even if they don't want to make any generous improvements to Warzone. It's still a decent bill to keep that going alongside a whole other game launched. Not even running in the same UI.
Yeah. Well, how mad are you if you're Treyarch? Because you basically made the first Call of Duty Battle Royale. It had its problems, but it was a good game, and I think in a lot of ways superior to Warzone. Activision lets Infinity Ward make their own Battle Royale called Warzone in their own engine, and then they say, from now on, Warzone's it. That's our Battle Royale. They do not give Treyarch one opportunity to try and shore up and perfect their version of it.
Yeah. Well, here's the other side of the coin. To that perspective as well, is that Treyarch was already known as the developer that made zombies, that like making zombies with campaign, and then all of a sudden it was tasked with them for the Black Ops 4 to make a Black Ops zombies, a Battle Royale Black Ops, and they don't get any campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that was more of a blow to them than anything, because there's a duality to those studios, Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and all since Treyarch's turn, and they're like, you don't get a campaign. You get to make a flavor of the month type genre game, a battle royale that's going to bring in the bucks, you know? Mm-hmm. And not only that, if you remember back to that game, it was done at the last minute. There's rumors that
there were rumors it was last minute.
Yeah, they crushed the campaign, and that the Blackout was rushed, and there's kind of evidence to lend to that because the game was so bare bones when it launched. Yada yada yada. Nonetheless, what I'm saying is the other perspective to that, or the other side to that perspective of yours, is that maybe they actually didn't give a fuck about Battle Royale. And maybe it's a blessing in disguise for them. Maybe they're like, maybe when they came back to the table to make another Call of Duty, they're like, no, fuck that. We don't want to do a Battle Royale. Let us concentrate on what we like, zombies, which people expect from us, and give us a fucking campaign, because that's what people want in Call of Duty anyways. There was a big enough blowback anyways from last game. We're not going to relive that. So let us do the two things we're good at. And, and then Activision Blizzard's like, well, yeah, we'll just keep fucking Warzone going because it's free to play anyways.
But I think that almost makes it worse, because basically you're telling Treyarch, hey, we want you to skip doing a campaign so that you can put all this effort into a battle royale. And then on the very next version of the game that they get, they're like, that battle royale you put all the blood, sweat, and tears into, we're throwing that in the dumpster. Now you guys can make a campaign. Have fun. Doesn't that kind of seem like they're treating them like dogs a little bit?
I mean, it's hard to know, because that engine could have had its own problems as far as improving upon that iteration of Battle Royale. Blackout is what I'm talking about. That it was unsalvageable, and that it was just a rightful passage for Infinity Ward to get a shot. And it was good enough. And I mean, both those developer studios know who they're dealing with. It's fucking Activision Blizzard. They're not going to be like, oh, you gave us this great idea. Can't wait to see how you improve upon it next year. Fuck no. They're like, I want to milk this fucking cow dry, bitch. So, I mean, it's probably not shocking to Treyarch in any means.
Yeah. Well, do you think they were shocked by the fact they had to censor the Tiananmen Square massacre out of their trailer for China?
No, probably not.
Talk about the most unsurprising development of all time.
These motherfuckers all know where their paychecks are coming from now. Dude, it's 2020. I mean, everyone knows who's in on the cut.
Well, yeah, overall, I'd say I'm pretty excited for Cold War. I think the campaign, just from the trailer, looks like they put a lot of heart into it this time around. So I'm expecting it to be better than the Modern Warfare campaign, which I was positive on, but not super positive on. I don't know how you feel, but I think this could be like a return to form for the campaigns.
I think that's just probably overhandling to me, to be honest. And if I objectively look back on Call of Duty campaigns, there's only one super, super good campaign, and that's Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone just romanticizes the idea of them reliving that, or maybe some of the good but not as good other stories that came from other Call of Duties, where they're kind of like, well, they almost got there, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next time. Maybe they're gonna top, and they're finally gonna get past no Russia. You know, I feel like that's the mentality with the Call of Duty storylines and or campaigns, and it's just like I'm over it. I really liked Modern Warfare because it felt realistic.
Felt like a war sim.
Yeah, it actually felt like I played it on realism, and I only played it on realism one time through, just a one shot, and it made me appreciate the campaign a little bit more. But the missions itself, maybe the first half, the second half kind of got a little Hollywood, but like the mission that kind of replicated Benghazi, you know?
Yeah, that was the best.
That was very visceral, you know, and I was like, this is what I want from a Call of Duty campaign. If I get this every year from a Call of Duty campaign, I might. Yeah. Am I gonna go fucking on Twitter and talk about how dope and lit the campaign was? No.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole kind of treating Treyarch like a dog with the, hey, you don't get a campaign this time, make us a battle royale, heal. I think that whole thing might actually put
You're talking about two beaten dogs already, bro.
Right. Well, I think that there's a good chance that whole thing really offended Treyarch, and they might bring the heat this time around. Because from their perspective, they got benched last campaign. They got straight up benched, and they might want to come out swinging this time to prove that they deserve a campaign more than Infinity Ward.
Yeah, true. Well, do keep in mind, I mean, everything is an assumption. You know, when I was talking about the other side of that, where possibly it was a blessing in disguise and that there's a separate developer running the free-to-play Warzone, maybe that's not the case. Maybe Treyarch is going to get creative control over Warzone for the year as well.
That would be interesting.
You know, and it's just like, then what would you have to say to it? You know, now they get to take over someone else's ship, you know, and spiritually right the wrongs, you know?
Yeah. Well, first thing they need to do is add water combat.
Grappling guns.
Yeah, the second thing, grappling guns.
Grappling guns 2.0.
And third thing, the Golden Paladin.
There's no need for the Golden Paladin anymore. They got the SP 208. It's a bolt. It's a bolt action looking hunting rifle that apparently can go 2,000 yards.
It shoots more like a phaser from Star Trek than it does a sniper rifle. But before we move on to our preview, Broadcaster Nickels, I have one more thought to discuss with you on Call of Duty Cold War, and that is, do you think, with everything we've said so far, is this game a Trojan horse, or are they really, really going to treat communism as what it is, the most evil form of governance on the planet? Because there is a lot of pro-commie sentiment nowadays. And if they really portray communism in the way that's realistic, they could ruffle some serious feathers with the hard left gaming industry, which is most of the gaming industry at this point.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. The people that make the Call of Duty games have always kind of been notoriously not left, and on top of that, accused of being, well, I'll just say in the more innocent terms, not left. So take that into consideration. And also, this might be a little political, a tinge of political, but
where's the Mega Man X warning horn when you need it?
These things we talk about, where it's like PC things, where we need equal women representation, we need BIPOC or whatever, by people of color or whatever.
BIPOC, that term pisses me off whenever I hear it.
We need one-armed white woman in fucking World War II rescuing strong men on the ground, stuff like that. It's just like people get this assumption that there's just this huge amount of people that are for this, and it's just such a small amount. And I know a lot of people say this, and I don't think enough people put weight on it, because they go on the computer, the interwebs, and they go to their Twitter and they're just like, oh my God, I can't believe people think like this, when it's just fucking like a very small amount of people. Most people want to turn on Call of Duty and see a 6'4" fucking 280-pound muscle jock fucking punching a dude's skull into the wall like they are just watching the third sequel to fucking Predator. All right.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to say to yourself that that's not what you want out of a game that's labeled Call of Duty Black Ops or Warzone or fucking whatever subtitle you want, you're lying to yourself. What do you expect? You really want a subversive plot of, the communism's bad, but is it? Like, no one's turning Call of Duty on that. And if you're the guy in charge for making money for Call of Duty franchise and you're trying to build that, you're an idiot. You're just a dumb fucking idiot. Even if you think that, even if those are your ideals, you shouldn't be dumb enough to know that that's going to sell.
Yeah. Well, on that hot note, Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready to get to our preview of Free Guy?
Oh, yeah.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back with our preview of Free Guy. Broadcaster Nickels, is this Battle Royale the movie, or is it Grand Theft Auto the movie?
Cease. I need you to calm down. Never bring up Battle Royale again. Too much Battle Royale. Hey, guess what's coming out this year and next year, and probably the year after that? Battle Royales. Halo's getting a Battle Royale. We're probably going to get Apex Legends fucking mythic Uber stories.
Mythic Uber story.
BIPOC of colorful stories. Cut.
Take two.
But seriously, I mean, how many different fucking battle royales are coming out here?
This is going to be the first movie. Or is it?
I think it's more of a Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, after watching the trailers, I agree with you.
He's in a bank, He's getting robbed by a chick that he's going to try to bang, which I totally agree with.
Which Ryan Reynolds banged in the trailer before that scene was shot.
Banged in the trailer before the scene, for sure. In the trailer, Oh damn, that's some Inception right there. Ryan Reynolds bangs the chick in the from the trailer in the trailer before the scene.
That's what they call transcendence.
Damn. I wish I was cool as Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, so basically this is sort of like the Truman Show, but for video games, I guess. Ryan Reynolds plays a generic NPC, and one day he realizes he doesn't want to be an NPC anymore, and he picks up the gun and starts fighting the players. And apparently the entire storyline is about the developers getting pissed off at this NPC doing what he wants, and their plot to try and kill the NPC from their game, which they should just be able to do by shutting the server down and deleting him and turning the server back on. But we'll see how they handle that realistically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that it's one of those movies that gives too much away in the trailer, but
it might be.
It might be. Maybe what I'm about to say is just giving it too much benefit of the doubt, but I think it's just so simple of a movie that what they show in the trailer kind of just, well, does exactly that. Shows you how simple the movie actually is.
Yeah, it feels like they show you everything in the trailer except for the ending. I feel like I saw the beginning and the middle.
It seems also very tropey.
Oh yeah.
I mean, comedies are supposed to be tropey, but they're also supposed to be, I don't know, humiliating, laughable, self-deprecating. I don't know. There was none of that in the trailer. There was just like a whole bunch of tropes with very little comedy to it. Like, for instance, in the trailer, when the girl gets kissed by Ryan Reynolds in the game, and there's this moment in real life where she's trying to explain to the dude that clearly wants to bang her in real life, the one that she probably should be banging if she was a healthy woman, not trying to bang virtual Ryan Reynolds. But anyways, I digress. She's trying to explain to him that the NPC came alive and kissed her, and like the scene is, they clearly are trying to make it funny. Like, she's like, I guess. And it's just like, I get it, but there was nothing funny there. And that's kind of like the whole trailer.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Reynolds is slowly becoming like Will Ferrell, like 20 years younger.
He kind of, he is an interesting guy. He gets paid to play himself now. He's one of those guys that just gets paid to come be Ryan Reynolds on our set for a few hours a day for a couple weeks, and we'll pay you $5 to $50 million.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's no doubt. You don't get to see Ryan Reynolds actually play a character anymore. Ryan Reynolds is the character.
Mm-hmm. And it all started with Waiting, which is one of my favorite movies, and it came out when I was in college, so it was sort of right there for my generation. And that was really my true introduction to Ryan Reynolds. I think I saw him in one other movie before that, but that was the one where I was like, this is Ryan Reynolds. This is who he is as an actor. This is his big character. And I feel like every single character since Waiting has been a version of his character from Waiting.
It's an accurate assessment for sure.
Yeah, well,
I mean, just to say quickly, I mean, it's happened to a lot of actors. Vince Vaughn is one. I said Will Ferrell. What's his name? Owen Wilson. Wow.
I never got tired of Owen Wilson. That's the difference. Like if a
I
new
know.
Owen Wilson movie came out tomorrow, even if it like looked shit, I would still watch it
I know,
immediately.
dude. The audience never got tired of Owen Wilson. I think Hollywood got tired
Yep.
of him. He was just too cool for him.
He was probably banging all the directors' wives or something,
Yeah.
and they all got pissed and they're like, "We're blacklisting this motherfucker." But so for as far as the video game movie goes, this seems like it's going to be a super non-serious comedy style take. There isn't going to be like serious introspection, like what does it mean to be made of photons and force fields? Am I real? Is real life real? What is real? I don't think we're going to have one of those type of movies. I think this is going to be very almost like goofy. Like I feel like this could be like a Looney Tunes style.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen right now. I'm gonna Nostradamus or Negro Dom this shit.
Oh shit, Negro Damus.
What's gonna happen is they're gonna do the tropey ass reality with digital parallel thing running where Ryan Reynolds is doing whatever he needs to do to save his world or become more significant in his world, all while the woman's life collapses in reality, all while trying to save this game. And everyone's like pretty much like, you're wasting your life. You're just doing this for no reason, you know? And then at the very end, somehow through social media, Instagram, fucking Pinterest sorcery, fucking Ryan Reynolds is going to become a real life human boy. Right. And
Jesus
she's
Christ.
gonna randomly meet him at a Starbucks, and he's gonna have a really trendy scarf on, and it's like fall, and the leaves are gonna be falling, and they're gonna like smile at each other and be like, "Let me buy you a coffee," and then the credits are gonna roll. I guarantee it's gonna go down something roughly like that.
Well,
Hollywood, hit me up, all right? I not Jewish, but I mean, listen to that, all right? I mean, if that's even 90% accurate, come at me. All right.
Broadcaster Nickel with the hot takes tonight. Yeah, if that's the ending, I'm going to throw up. I can't. This does just seem like it's going to be a super, like, kind of goofy Ready Player One movie. Like, they're going to take Ready Player One, take all the drama out, and just make it super goofy and tropey and memey.
Here's the thing. The only reason I can almost guarantee this is because Ryan Reynolds is a face, and they don't want. There's like this rule in Hollywood where you don't put a mask on a pretty face. You don't like shoehorn the pretty face into being insignificant. And the fact that Ryan Reynolds' character is a digital only character, he's not a real person, is like kind of the hero's journey for him in that movie. I guarantee it.
Yeah, we also don't know what year this takes place, so technically speaking, this could be far into the future where they have like androids, and perhaps your little prediction comes true by them just buying an android and sticking his code into the android.
Right now, if I'm not even 70% right, I will buy you a Tony Roma's dinner. All right. Or Olive Garden.
Yeah, so the whole movie doesn't take place in the game. Definitely some stuff going on outside the game, but how much? Do you think this is going to be a 50-50 split? You think it's going to be mostly in the game? Or the dark horse pick, is it going to be mostly in the real world and there's barely anything in the game and they show the entire game in the trailer? That would be funny.
I think it's probably going to be like a 70-60. So either going to be 70-30 or 60-40 split with majority going to digital Ryan Reynolds.
I will say that I like the highly stylized graphics effects. What do you think about the CG that you saw? Because it looks like the type of CG that if they made this movie 10 years ago, it would have been super corny, but because it's 2020 and not 2010, it looks pretty decent.
I mean, yeah. things like that always stand out to me as just not being real, period. But they always look kind of cheesy in hindsight, don't you? And I feel like that's where all of our like examples come from. Like, I don't think I've ever actually looked at a television show. Well, maybe a television show because the budgets are so low, but a AAA movie I've never looked at in the present time, unless it was just notoriously bad again, where I was just like, oh yeah, that's just, they could have done better. Like, it's always in hindsight where I'm just like, man, that looks so bad now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure the graphics in Free Guy are going to look really bad in 2030. That's for sure.
Yeah, but for right now, I would say that I'm sure they're pretty good. But again, I'm kind of biased. You're talking to somebody that literally has seen maybe one Pixar movie. I saw the first 2 Toy Stories. Like, I'm giving you an example. I think I saw the first Cars.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, there we go. Boom.
Boom.
Come full circle.
I was glad that they went with a no-name female lead. What did you think about that? Because she's attractive and she's not distracting. Like, if you put your future ex-wife Scarlett Johansson in there, that'd be pretty distracting with Ryan Reynolds. It would just become, oh, it's Ryan Reynolds and Scarlett Johansson hanging out on a set.
You want to hear the Dark Horse comment of the night?
Oh, shit. Here we go.
She looks like a poor version of Ryan Reynolds' actual wife.
Oh. Interesting.
And if you don't know, I think it's something Blake. Sarah Blake or
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively, is that her name?
Yeah.
You know what she looks like then.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. You have a reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I could see that a little bit. Definitely a poor man's version.
Yeah, poor. Like, you got to make it in your mouth to make it taste good type of thing. I don't know if that reference worked out, but I did it anyways.
Moving on. I really like the glasses in the trailer. I like the way that the UI is totally a part of the glasses, and like there was that scene where he kept putting them off and turning them on and taking them off and putting them on. Reminded me of They Live with the late great Roddy Piper.
Oh man, rest in power.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, wouldn't that be crazy if this was a sneak under the table fucking sequel?
Oh shit!
At the very end, dude, the chick was just undead, and Ryan Reynolds like comes out of the simulation where they had him sitting in a virtual sarcophagus for so long, and he like comes out like the Doom Slayer, and he's just like, I gotta take back this planet. Puts the glasses on, sees all of them. It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, but I'm all out of bubble gum.
We don't deserve that movie, but we do need it.
Yeah, I probably just gave that movie the ending it didn't deserve, but
yeah.
Again, Hollywood, hit me up. I mean, even if you want to do a storyline 50% like that, I'm your guy.
Yeah. Yeah, despite us both kind of thinking this is going to be GTA the movie and not Battle Royale the movie, I do still think that there is going to be a flush amount of memes and references for Fortnite in this movie.
Oh, of course. This movie is for that demographic.
Mm-hmm. That it is. And it's very weird that Disney decided to make this movie, because if you really look at what this movie is supposed to be, it should be rated R. And it should not be for kids, and it should not be a Disney movie. Yet here we are. Disney's making it. It's going to be super PG. You can already see from the trailer that it's not showing blood and gore. When people die, they just like vanish like a character from a 2D RPG. They just kind of like fade. And you saw that hole blown in the guy in the bank. It was just, just a black hole with like red scarring around it. No blood. It was very PG.
Here's another tinfoil hat theory here. Maybe this is just one off, if you will, or maybe one of many to come of cheesy, easy, sellable movies starring Ryan Reynolds for Fox. Who's doing this? Who's the actual production house?
It's 20th Century Fox, owned by Disney.
It is?
Yeah.
So, maybe they haven't announced it yet. Again, tinfoil conspiracy here. Maybe Ryan Reynolds is doing all these as kind of like a scratch my back, I'll scratch your back to make Deadpool 3 happen.
Oh, that would be nice.
Because there's a lot of, well, I just say Deadpool 3 is really up in the air whether it's going to be what Ryan Reynolds really wants it to be. So maybe he's like, sucking some industry dick right now. Making sure Deadpool 3 can happen. And that's why we're getting movies like, Free Guy. And I'm not saying Free Guy looks bad or it's going to be bad. I'm just saying, this is just kind of comes off as a little bit above schlock comedy.
Yeah, it looks super. It does. It looks super schlocky for sure.
Yeah.
Well, do you think the December 11th release date's actually going to happen?
It's a good question. I didn't even think about that. I mean, again, I don't want to shit on this movie too much, but this movie is kind of like, I don't think it needs to film anymore, and I don't think they really can afford to kind of keep this movie in the shadows for too much longer, or it will lose attention, and then they won't make any money off of it. So they might just have to release it.
They'd be smart to just put it on VOD. I don't know why more companies aren't doing that.
Or stream it. I mean, Wonder Woman 82 is going to get streamed. What else is getting streamed? Lethal Weapon 8? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Everything's going to get streamed here.
It should, but not everything. I mean, a lot of movies aren't. And I thought that, honestly...
They're saying they're not, but let's be real here. If Shenanigan Lockdown Extravaganza goes on for 2021 like the powers that be wanted to, then what else fucking choice do they have?
Yeah.
They'll be like, here's Black Widow that we told you about 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think it's really going to go on much longer, and I think that they all kind of think the same thing, so they're all waiting right now.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, but I think you kind of have to bet for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is, that these times, unprecedented times, going through now here at the Cellar and worldwide, that affect these movies in a really bad way, and they're just going to have to, get caught in the back alley doing five handies, you know what I'm saying? Brooklyn Five Handies. I don't even know what that is. I'm not from Brooklyn, but I made it up. And
I feel like a gay ghost from Brooklyn just inspirited you and made you say that.
I mean, I believe that.
I have one more very important question for you. Why in the hell is Mariah Carey the trailer theme?
Illuminati.
First of all, nobody in the target audience for this movie likes Mariah Carey. Most of them don't even know who the fuck Mariah Carey is. Now let's just put that part aside. Most of the people in the target audience were not born when Mariah Carey was popular. This is a baffling decision for a movie like this.
I think Mariah Carey is a little bit more relevant than you think, but
what?
Still. Yeah, I think
she hasn't had a hit since the 90s.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
When was the last time you were listening to my queen, Mariah? All right.
Last time I saw Mariah Carey, she was blackout drunk on like a New Year's event on NBC with like Bryant Gumbel or something.
Bite your tongue, peasant.
And that was like 8 years ago, I think, too. That was a long time ago.
Well, anyways, what you're trying to say is that you're agreeing with my previous assessment that this movie is a dog bone for all the fucking mutts they need to appease in Hollywood, including fucking Mariah Carey, who's just like, let me write a fucking song. It's been so long. I want to fucking write a song for a movie. And they're like, all right, write the fucking song for free, guys. And Ryan Reynolds is like, this fucking sucks, but at least I get to fucking make Deadpool 3.
Well, if that's how it has to happen, then that's how it has to happen.
Hey,
and that being said, Broadcaster Nickels, do you give Free Guy a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or the dreaded side thumb?
In these unprecedented times, I'm going to authorize the use, on this rare occasion, the side thumb.
Oh, shit.
End of report.
Yeah. Is it a wobbly side thumb or is it a pretty stiff side thumb?
It's a strong and powerful side.
Yeah. I'm giving it a thumbs down. I was more excited for this movie before I saw the trailers, which is never a good sign.
That's not a good sign at all.
I know. And, I mean, I could be wrong and this could end up being good, but I have a feeling that I'm going to watch this movie and I'm going to have to watch this movie drunk. There's no way I can watch this movie sober. That's the one thing I came out of these trailers thinking. I cannot watch this movie sober. And so in my drunken stupor, I still believe I will probably still dislike this movie when it's all said and done. But I will give it the benefit of the doubt because this type of schlock may get us Deadpool 3. And that theory alone gives me hope.
I think what's funny is that I know this movie is going to be one of those movies I'm going to watch like a year and a half from now on Netflix for free or something like that. And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I dedicated part of a podcast episode to this and I'm just starting to watch it. I know that's how it's going to go down.
You're not going to be in the theaters on December 11th.
I'm totally going to forget like 90% of Americans that the movie even exists.
That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready to get to our review of Star Wars Rogue Squadron?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And we're back with our review of Ian S. Frazier's Star Wars Squadrons. And the creators of this video game describe it as the following. Master the art of starfighter combat and the authentic piloting experience Star Wars. Trademark Squadrons. Buckle up, feel the adrenaline of first-person multiplayer space dogfights alongside your squadron and learn what it means to be a pilot in a thrilling Star Wars single-player campaign that made me want to hurl. Broadcaster Nickels, this game is all woke and no joke. But you wouldn't know that because you skipped all the cutscenes.
Let's skip all the cutscenes. I skipped all the side content.
The side content. There is no side content in this game.
Yeah, there is. Anything that wasn't mandatory to take off out of the hangar is what I call side content.
Yeah, the side content is pressing a button and talking to some woke cardboard cutout character about nothing for 30 seconds.
No. More like at least 120 seconds. They say some shit. Dude, they stretch what could be said in about 15 seconds into, I don't know, 3 minutes. It's insane.
Yeah, the writers of this storyline should all be drawn and quartered. This is... the campaign is a travesty. It was short. It was lackluster. The characters and the dialogue were on par with Mass Effect Andromeda. It wasn't good.
It's one of those games where when it ends, you're not quite sure it ended.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're just like, is that it? Oh, okay. I guess.
Yeah, and it also like turns like the epic conflict between the Rebel Alliance and the Empire that has sown the seeds of chaos in the quadrant for 50 years now into an episode of Glee. This is the way they portray both the Empire and the Rebel Alliance is literally like two rival dance crews, like having a dance off against each other. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, it really is. I think 50% of people come into this game looking for an experience along the lines of, I don't know, the original Rogue Squadron, but really this is just a VR game. It's a VR game, no matter where you're playing it. I expect if you were to actually play this game with a VR headset, it would really shine.
Well,
you know,
I did play it with a VR headset, and I can say that it didn't really shine.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is with the PSVR, which I guess is the weakest of all the VR headsets. That's what people tell me. So take this as like the bottom tier of VR, if you will. But holy shit, do they downgrade the graphics in this game when you switch to VR? Imagine you have a graphics slider, and the game by default, when you're just playing it on a TV, is set to 100 out of 100. When you switch to VR, they take that slider down to about 25 out of 100. It looks like a game from 2002 when you turn it on to VR mode. And I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
It's muddy. The textures look like something out of the original Half-Life. It's insane.
That's sad.
It is. That being said, though, it's really fun in VR, and it's probably one of the better VR games I've ever played, but how the fuck can you not get the graphics better than 2002?
Maybe it's just PlayStation VR. I wonder if it can run better on anything else.
Yeah, well, people that do the Oculus tell me, like the Oculus Elites, as I call them, because all they do is talk shit about the other VR headsets. They claim that their VR is much better, and when I talk shit about VR, they're like, oh, just because you're on PSVR, you gotta get Oculus, that's the real shit. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know what the big difference is between the two. I can't say for sure. But I will say PSVR proves to me that VR isn't ready yet. It needs a few more generations to work out the kinks, because it's just one step above a Virtual Boy right now, in my opinion.
I could have told you that 4 years ago, 6 years ago, then 10 years ago, then 15 years ago.
Right. But it's fun. I will say that the VR experience is really the only reason to buy the game, but it's not great.
Yeah, that's sad to hear, because that was the first thing I thought when I saw that game. I was like, oh, this is clearly a VR game. Oh, man, if it looks this good in VR, this will be dope.
Nope. If the way the game looks in normal is actually how it looked in VR, this could be like one of the killer apps that launched VR into the stratosphere. But the way it is on PSVR, it's so bad that you can't even make out objectives because of how blurry the graphics are. It's insane. I can't stress enough how much they downgrade the graphics to get it to work on PSVR. It's sad. And I will say this as well. This is on the PS Pro, not the normal vanilla PS4. This is on a PS4 Pro, so don't come at me with, oh, you're using the old PS4, that's why it looks bad. You need the PS4 Pro. No, I got that. It's still that bad.
Oh, you got the old fucking PS4. That's why it looks like an N64 game.
I mean, other than that, the multiplayer, I think, is all right. There's two modes. There's just like a standard deathmatch, dogfighter team deathmatch thing, which is standard and feels exactly what you would think it would be. Nothing special about it. It's fun, but it's the type of thing that you'd lose interest in pretty quick. Then they have a second mode. It's called Fleet Battles. And this is basically sort of like a League of Legends MOBA archetype. But instead of having like a lane through a forest going from each side, you have a lane going through space with flagships on each side. But same overall concepts. You're fighting with your NPCs to push the line to take bigger and bigger ships, aka the towers, if it were League of Legends. And you push and eventually you kill their headquarters.
A Blizzard lawsuit.
It's very standard MOBA type gameplay just applied to this game, and it seemed kind of fun, but again, nothing special. There's absolutely nothing about the multiplayer where I'm like, oh, I'm going to be playing this for a year. No way. I don't think it's going to have any staying power. My guess is that the multiplayer queues are going to die in 2 months. Maybe 3 months because it's Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Well, it's not... I think Battlefront 2 is going to live well beyond this game will ever.
Probably. Yeah.
That game's like, what, 2 years older?
Yeah. It's funny, too, because you look at the price point. I didn't realize this game was only a $40 game till I actually went and bought it. And I got this like feeling in my gut as soon as I heard it was $40, like, oh, this is a free to play game. But because it's Star Wars, they're going to charge people $40 for it.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I felt robbed.
Yeah. And another interesting tidbit, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the teammate AI was horrible in the campaign. Did you notice that at all, the way that your teammates work in the campaign?
No way. My teammates were crazy good. Did you use the targeting a lot?
Yes. That's not AI. That's you sending attack dogs. I'm talking about how your allies act while you're not giving them orders.
Oh, well, yeah.
This is what they do. They fly in your exact same flight pattern. They mirror your movements and do nothing. That's what they do if you're not sending them on attack runs and ordering them around. They will literally just be like 6 feet on your left, 6 feet on your right. If you turn an inch to the right, they turn an inch to the right. It's Brilliant. Very, very cringy in the year 2020 to see that sort of AI. That's something that would have been cringy in 1998.
Well, I mean, it is VR. It has to run smooth on VR.
It was a shortcut. They took a shortcut. This game was super rushed out. You can just tell in every facet of the game that EA had a mandate. They said, you need to release this game now. I don't care what you have to do. And they cut some serious corners along the way. And I believe one of them is that AI. Because it looked really weird. Every time I noticed it, I'd take like a little bank to the left and I'd see the guy on my peripheral on my left take the exact same bank to the left and keep the exact same relative distance from me as he was before. It's just like, it totally pulls you out of the experience. It's one of those fourth wall breaking things that's just bad game design. It's sad.
Are you telling me this is not compelling gameplay?
I actually think that the gameplay is pretty compelling, honestly. That's the only part of the game I like is just like the core gameplay.
Would you say it's another $1 billion IP?
I would say it's a travesty riding on the coattails of $1 billion IP.
Get Cliffy B on the line. This is right up his alley.
The engine itself is amazing, and I feel really bad for the guy who programmed the engine of Squadrons, because this guy made an amazing space dogfighter engine, and they put one of the worst campaigns of all time into it.
You know what I noticed immediately? That there was a lot of women.
Oh yeah.
I knew something was off when I found myself counting how many men were in the background. Not even real characters, just how many men were present at all. It's pretty bad.
The Rebel Alliance only has one white male option out of 10 total character archetypes. One is a white male.
Did you notice that they let the female and male voices go both ways? You could be a female with a male voice.
And they didn't say male or female either. They said A or B or some bullshit.
Yeah. And all female voices were A and all male voices were B.
Yeah.
I found that to be calculated.
Oh, dude. When Kathleen Kennedy came out and said the Force is female, the people that wrote the storyline for Squadrons all had like a collective orgasm at that sentence, because they literally took that sentence from Kathleen Kennedy's mouth and they created it into a video game. This is female reparations for Star Wars. Every fucking character is female. All the powerful characters, all the bosses, the leader of the Empire is a Wakandan national. Okay, so let's get this straight. The Empire, which is an archetype of the Nazis, the master race, the people that are renowned for being, you gotta be an Aryan, bruh. We don't want no non-Aryans in our Nazi regime. So these people are hiring woke Wakandan females to lead their fleets now? At least stay fucking... This is what drives me fucking crazy. You want to do your woke bullshit, go ahead and do it, but you have to stay within the constraints of the storyline that you exist in. The Empire's based off of the Nazis. You cannot all of a sudden make the fucking Empire some fucking woke melting pot of everything except for the Nazis. It makes no sense.
But dude, I want to see Rose Tika's character fleshed out.
It defies
Why are you
logic. I just can't believe what I saw in this game from the Empire. Like, I get it with the Rebel Alliance because the way that culture works right now, of course the Rebel Alliance is going to be a bunch of plucky, woke 18-year-olds that think that they're going to take down capitalism. I fully expected that, and I'm at peace with it. Okay, but for you to do this to the Empire too, you're breaking the central rule of the universe. You're shitting on the original trilogy and everything that they established by doing this, and it's unforgivable, man. I think it's just straight up unforgivable.
I think we're far past unforgivable.
Yeah. Even putting that aside, the character customization was super weak. Like, you might as well not even make a character.
Yeah, it was pretty weak. You don't see him ever.
You don't see him. I don't even know why they let you pick the voice, because it's like the voice never, like, you never talk. There's no real point to it.
You do sometimes, but yeah, it's
like once or twice, maybe. It's a joke.
Well, I think you talk, like when you're getting hit and you do the quips with the NPCs and the allies and the actual gameplay. And then I think there's actually a couple like in-game cutscenes where your voice that you picked is used.
They don't really honor what you use in the character creation at a certain point in this game. And that's another just spit in the face.
I think it's also a glaring fucking admission to where they gave up.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking, let's push the game.
Yeah, and gave up they did. Before we get to our spoilers section, I just want to say that this is overall the weakest Star Wars story of all time. And that includes every movie. It includes the TV shows. It includes the Christmas special. It includes the books that I read that aren't even canon anymore. It definitely includes the Old Republic. Everything. There's nothing worse than this story in this game. So if you're sitting here saying to yourself, I want a new Star Wars story, don't buy this game. If you're saying to yourself, I want an upgraded version of X-Wing and TIE Fighter from the early 90s on the PC, buy this game. Because that's what this is. This is those games upgraded for new tech. There is no story to be had here, gentlemen. This is a dud. Turn away. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, to those who have not played this yet and are about to turn off this episode and go buy it, do you recommend that they do so, or should they save their money?
Well, like most people in 2020, no matter what I say, you're lying to yourself. You already decided. You know what you're going to do no matter what I say. So I will say that this game is trash and you should save your $40 and maybe, I don't know, buy your mom a nice bouquet of flowers or fucking, I don't know, buy a hand job from the nail parlor across the street from where you get that sub on the weekends, you know? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Anyways.
That was a strong recommendation from Broadcaster Nickels.
I got a problem with Fleck.
Go on.
That guy sucks. He talks way too much. He has nothing good to say. At one point, at the very, very beginning, when he uses, and I'll use the quote loosely because I don't remember it because I didn't give too much brain capacity to remembering it. He said something like, "Oh, well, the day is not over. I can still piss somebody off," something along those lines. And I was like, oh, this guy's the villain in disguise. This guy's going to betray them all. And it was the only sign of maybe potential character depth in this whole fucking game. And ended to play out. He just ended up being a fucking sandbag that wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Dude, this game starts with the least believable, most cringy betrayal of all time. So when you start this game out and you're on the Empire to begin with, and you see who ends up being a main character, both the main characters basically, you see Lyndon Javes, the captain, and you see Teresa Carroll, the
just
protege.
To put into context, one Lyndon, black old man, kind of looks like Morgan Freeman, and what was the other chick? I forget her name.
Teresa Carroll.
Strong 90-pound soaking wet Asian female with short haircut with a coif that is out of this world. How she maintains that, I do not know.
This was choreographed. It was telemarked. It starts off with him. The fucking Javes is that dude's name is so weird. Lyndon Javes, what a fucking weird name. It starts out with this guy basically being told, hey captain, we need you to go murder some refugees. And right off the bat, my red alert was going off. Oh, political, this is a political hit job. And he's like, he has this look on his face like, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. And he talks to his protege, Teresa Carroll, and she's like, oh, we need to do this for the Empire. And then Lyndon Javes is like, are you sure we need to kill refugees for the Empire? Do you never question your orders? And Teresa Carroll's like, what? Why would you say that? We never question our orders. Moving on. Like, without even, like, being like, wait a second, my CO just literally questioned the Empire. I should turn this guy in before we go on the mission. Like, he's a traitor. And she's like, moving on. We're not going to talk about that. So basically, they telemark this dude's betrayal from the very, very beginning of, like, he's going to betray them before the mission starts.
You missed the most clown shoes part of that conversation, though. At the cherry on top, after they say exactly that, he says, man, I hope she got what I meant.
Oh
like he literally says that out loud. He's like, man, I really hope fucking that bitch fucking got what I meant when I was trying to tell her, look at her in the eyes, being like, this shit's fucked up. And she just walks off. 14 episodes later. She got it. Don't worry.
I just can't get over like her shock when Javes betrays them in this first mission. It's like everyone who has half a brain knows this is going to happen. They telegraph it. It happens in the mission. And she's just like, the humanity, how could you do this? I would have never thought. I knew you so well, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, bitch, I've known this guy for 10 seconds and I knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
What is wrong with you?
This goes to show you who they're catering to nowadays.
Idiots?
Like, yeah, it's just like, someone would be like, it's for the children. I was like, dude, if I had a fucking 6-year-old and they were playing this, I'd be offended. If that's who this was catered to. This is terrible. This is remedial fucking just swill. It's what's floating at the bottom of the cup. All right.
Ooh, that's, man. I think that's putting it lightly. This first mission is just shameless political stoogery. They set up this entire game's campaign as, oh, the refugees. It's all just a fucking...
Time Crisis 4's arcade story is better than this. Right?
It is. You're right about that. So we have our captain who betrays the Empire that he's been with for his entire life because they'd say, oh, you got to go kill some refugees. So, Mr. Lyndon Javes, what were you doing the other 20 years where you were also murdering refugees and you seem to have no problem with it, but now all of a sudden you do?
Well, they would like you to believe that this, in his 40-year tenure of fucking being with the Empire, that this was his first time encountering such atrocities.
Yeah. The Empire was like super legit before this game. Like they were really nice dudes, and they just wanted to, serve tea and have a party. But yeah,
it's funny too because this is them in like their weakened form.
Mm-hmm.
This is. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and what also doesn't make sense is that the only white guy in the Empire is a fucking android. It's unbelievable, dude. Like you have an Asian dude, you have like a bunch of black women, you have an Asian woman, and you have some weirdo who never takes his mask off, which I'm assuming is supposed to be the quote unquote white guy, and they keep his mask on to kind of hide his whiteness because that's what you're supposed to do now. You're supposed to not like being white and like to hide it from the world and pretend you're not. And I think that's a great paradigm for what they're trying to say with this storyline, which is it is not okay to be white in a galaxy far, far away. Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, my blood pressure's going up.
90% of the characters in this game are female, and that's not an exaggeration. And the 10% that are male are just side characters and emasculated simps who cower before the strong woman. Like, it's a meme and a half to watch
You
this
ever seen Bubble Boy with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Oh, I have.
You know the eunuch cult ran by Fabio?
Yeah.
That's who Hollywood uses for their archetype for men nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
those ballless fucking zealots.
Yeah, on the galactic. God, what do they call themselves now? Are they the new Galactic Republic, or are they the new? I don't know. I still call them the Rebel Alliance. They're a bunch of bullshit. They'll never be the Republic because the Republic was good and they suck. These people, it is literally, we have a woman with yellow face paint. Then you have a woman with red face paint. Then you have a strong Wakandan female, which is standard. That's like the standard now across everything. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but like every game must have like a bare minimum of like 5 strong Wakandan females.
Oh, for sure.
So then we have another female who is the mechanic, like the engineer, who, I shit you not, is the exact same female model as the female on your team with yellow face paint. They just took the face paint off her. There's a few scenes where they
It's her
show them
twin
side by
sister,
side.
Fiona.
Dude, they show them side by side a few times, and you can look and you can see it's the exact same character model. They just put yellow face paint on one and said, "Oh, this is a different character."
I'm telling you, dude, Activision.
Then of course we have
Or it's EA, sorry.
we have Hera Syndulla from the great Star Wars Rebels cartoon that no one's watched as the main cameo. And she becomes the leader at the end of the game. And she is a tentacle alien. And she is the hottest female in this entire fucking game. And she is a goddamn tentacle monster. That is how far we have fallen. There are 100 women in this game, and they are all intentionally designed to be ugly.
Bigot.
This is what Mass Effect Andromeda started, and it's what
Listen,
Star Wars Woke Squadron is continuing.
Hey. I think they tried to make the females hot in Andromeda. They just couldn't make it happen.
Well, so the only male on the Rebel Alliance side is a Bosk alien. It's like the same alien race that the bounty hunter Bosk is, but he's like sort of like milquetoasty skin wise, and he like is a total beta cuck, and he just sits.
Got the metal arm.
No, the Bosk alien. He's like a dinosaur guy.
Oh, you're talking about Fleck.
Yeah, Fleck. So the original Bosk, who is that guy's race from the original Star Wars trilogy, was an OG bounty hunter that drove Houndstooth, one of the coolest Star Wars bounty hunter ships of all time. He's a legend. And this guy shows up, and he's like a simp. He's
absolutely a simp.
Dude, and he's the only male on the team, and every mission, it's like them being like, "Haha, you suck, huh?" And him being like, "Haha, yeah, you're right, I do suck. You guys are so much cooler than me." I couldn't believe it, dude. I couldn't believe it. How did this happen, Broadcaster Nickels?
It's 2020.
But good news, Wedge Antilles shows up for a cameo. He's there for about 40 seconds, and he gets...
I forgot about Wedge.
He's there for 40 seconds.
So funny. That's so funny because I thought about that too.
You can 100% tell that they had no interest in Wedge being in this game, and they only brought him into the game briefly to attempt to legitimize the game in the eyes of actual Star Wars fans, like people that are actually fans of Star Wars, because they knew the story is so horrible that they need something to try and legitimize it. So like, let's throw Wedge in for a mission. People will be like, "I remember Wedge. This is a great game."
Isn't that such like a bad sign though of IP management when like a game comes out and the game feels so starved to have any likable asset from the IP that the game is based on? Like, what the fuck? Why am I just barely getting a Wedge cameo in a game that's called Star Wars Squadrons?
And not only that, dude, this game takes place after the original trilogy, right after. There are so many characters they could have brought into this game. Let's go down just a really short list. R2-D2, C-3PO, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Leia, Luke. Wait a second. Did I just name let's go. Lando Calrissian. Wait, did I just name every fucking character in the entire original trilogy and they didn't bring a single one except for Hera Syndulla from fucking Star Wars Rebels in 30 seconds of Wedge to just be like, "I approve this message. Bye." Wow.
Died in 2020.
Holy shit, man. But moving away from the story a little bit, as you can tell, I'm not a big fan of it. I also am not a fan of the way they went with the campaign in general. So what happens is that there's 14 missions, and they bounce back and forth between the Empire and the Rebel Alliance. This is stupid.
They're trying to make it like a movie.
Right, exactly. They were trying to make it a movie. And what I don't like about this is it choreographs what's going to happen at the end. So when you have a campaign that's built like this, you know for a fact that the Rebel Alliance is just going to win in the end, because you know that the very last mission, they're going to switch from Empire back to Rebel Alliance. And if you're playing the Rebel Alliance, you know you win.
Yep.
So they choreograph the ending. And that's dumb. What they should have done is they should have done the StarCraft approach, where each side have their own campaign. And it's separate, but they tie in together, but they're separate campaigns. That way, you can use the first campaign to set up a really cool premise in the storyline, and you can use the second campaign to pay it off. Instead, they just did this hodgepodge nonsense bullshit in which it starts off with this betrayal, and then it becomes, oh, we're going to hunt down the betrayer because he's building a rebel Death Star. Oh, okay, the whole rebel Death Star thing was a little weird, but okay. And the whole story just revolves around the revenge of Teresa Carroll going after Lyndon Javes, who's now the leader of the Rebel Alliance, and his little mini Death Star. And it's just like, it's nonsense. Every mission has no stakes because there's no character development. You get to these moments in this game where they really want you to feel like there are high stakes in these few moments. And when you get to those moments, you do not feel that there are any stakes because none of the characters have been developed and they're all shit. You have no attachment to these characters because they haven't done anything to give you an attachment.
They tried to really, really lay it on thick with nonsense dialogue to give them depth. It was so sad.
Yeah, it gave no depth.
It's just, it was fucking nails on a chalkboard.
It was. I really like the engine for this game. I think that whoever designed the engine should get a job on a better game with a better team that's going to give him a better story to back up his product. But the game design itself was horrible. These were generic missions in this campaign. Like there were maybe 2 or 3 missions where you felt, okay, that was a mission. Like that felt legitimate. And then the other 10, they were just generic as fuck, like, escort this ship, destroy that ship, follow a waypoint. It was as vanilla as it gets and just straight up boring in a lot of these missions.
It's also kind of a lie, too. At the beginning of the game, it's like their mechanics didn't work half the time. At the very beginning of the game, they said you have to slow down when you get to that white circle, destination circle thing that takes you to the next checkpoint or ends the mission or whatever. But half the time it would auto lock you and just slow you down immediately. And then the other times I'd go right through it if I didn't slow down. I was like, what the fuck? I was just expecting to get stopped.
Yeah. They definitely rushed many mechanics in this game. And that is no doubt. There was also a shocking amount of levels that were just super generic looking that had reused assets. Like, especially in the first half of the game. The second half, not so much. I feel like the second half, they really stepped up like the unique environments. But in the first half of this game, you're just in generic space, which is stars.
Yeah. Like, I really liked the level where you were going to that, like, hub ship, like, hidden in the asteroid belt.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah. There were really good missions, and I'd say actually the majority of the missions, not majority, close to 50-50. I'd say about 50% of the missions are good, and the other half range from okay to abysmal. And there's this one mission in particular where you are just like driving around, like scanning stuff, and it's like a tutorial. It's like mission 3, I think, where it's basically a tutorial in disguise. They're like, oh, do this, do that. And like, you're like thinking it's a mission, but by the end of it, you're like, wait a second, I just did another tutorial, but I'm on mission 3. This is weird. Yeah, and it's
stupid.
It even ends with like this weird, like, oh, we need to teach you how to drift.
Newsflash, drifting is nothing, kids. It's literally boosting and then pressing this. I was kind of like odded out about it at first. I was just like, wait a minute, what are they talking about? And then I did it. I was like, oh, you mean like turn while you're boosting to drift. Drifting in space.
Yeah. I guess they still think drifting is hip with the kids, even though drifting was hip when I was a kid. And newsflash, I'm not a kid anymore. I don't think it's hip anymore.
Dude, are you kidding me? Kids in high school still have fucking Tokyo Drift on DVD.
On DVD.
Or on Blu-ray, I mean, sorry.
HD DVD.
I was going to say dual layer HD.
But
I bet you people don't even know what a dual layer HD DVD is.
Nope. That's even less known than the Betamax at this point.
Yeah, it was pretty short-lived.
But
Microsoft knows, though, don't they?
How many bugs did you notice in this game? Because I heard the PC version was way more buggy than the PS4 version, which I played, and the PS4 version was pretty buggy. So
I had the game straight freeze on me on multiple load screens, so
yeah. I never had it freeze on me, but there were some really weird bugs. Like there was a mission, the mission where you're like trying to follow the Rebel Alliance to the Rebel Death Star, and some hot shot like Archer style admiral shows up in his Star Destroyer and is like, I'm gonna kill these fuckers. What are you pussies doing? Remember that mission?
Yeah.
So that
he
mission
goes down with the ship.
By the way, I loved that guy, and I loved his voice actor. That was one of the best voice actors in this entire game. He was great.
He was the only guy with heart in the game. He was like really the spiritual embodiment of the only G at the studio making the game. I loved it when she was just like, you have to get out of there. It's a losing battle. He's like, what? What? It dies 2 minutes later.
I know. It's funny too, because they were trying to like make him look bad. They were really trying to make you as the game player not like him and think of him as a fool. And when I'm playing, I'm just like, now this is a guy I could get behind.
His final words, he says like, the ship, it's exploding. He's like, but I won.
That was
just blows up.
What a great line from a great performance of a character that only existed for half of a mission. Rest in peace. But anyway, back to the point. In that mission, you remember when they first are like, oh, we got to stop him, and they're like, we need to intercept the missiles that he's firing at the rebels. My game bugged out here the first time I played it. The missiles weren't firing, but it kept saying, missiles incoming. Oh, they're taking the missiles. The fleet's getting fucked up. You need to intercept these missiles. There were no missiles firing.
Weird.
And there were a few other bugs too, but that was the one that really stood out to me the most, where I'm just like, wow, that's like a really glaring bug. Like that's one that should come out in QA.
You ever get the orbit bug on like a small piece of debris floating? Like I ran into there were sometimes where I ran into debris, and then once I bounced off of it, I would immediately go into like this weird like orbital spin around the object and like just keep grinding on it.
That happened to me one time, and it was like the second to last mission. But it did happen to me once, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some bugs in the game.
Oh, yeah. And I thought the difficulty between levels was very uneven. Some levels felt like straight pushover, and other levels felt really unforgiving. Like, I forget which level it is, but you're going after like a Galactic Republic capital ship, and you're trying to destroy it. It's like the first time you're going after a capital ship and you're trying to legitimately destroy it. Like, you know what I'm talking about? What mission I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That mission felt way harder than any of the other missions that came before it or came after it.
Yeah.
I
think it was the only type of boss level there was.
Basically, yeah, it felt like it.
Yeah.
And it was jarring a little bit just how different the difficulty would be on the same difficulty. Like I wasn't changing it around. I don't understand how you can't iron that out a little bit. It's really weird to me that you have such an uneven difficulty level.
They could, but they didn't want to.
Yeah. This all kind of goes back to the same source where this is basically a rush job. This game was rushed out.
I think it was by design.
Tinfoil hat on.
Dude, I'm like Wolverine with animanium, but it's all tinfoil. You got tinfoil skeleton, bro.
Circling back to VR a little bit, this game was 100% designed for VR first. You can just tell when you play it in VR that the game was meant for VR.
Third person.
I don't know how it feels to you because you never actually played it in VR, so you just have that one perspective. But I started the game in VR, then I went to normal, then I went back to VR briefly about halfway through, then I went back to normal till the very end. After you go back and forth a bit, you can just see that this game was VR first. And as soon as you leave VR, you notice that the interface doesn't look right. Nothing looks right. Like the game just doesn't look right on a TV compared to VR. And you start to realize, oh, that's because this is a VR game, but they don't have any faith in the VR platform. So they put in a normal mode. And that's what most people are playing.
Yep.
But Ace Combat 7, way better VR than
compare
Squadrons.
Those two, all right? How dare you?
Well, they're both dogfighters, you know. Ace Combat 7 is terrestrial.
One's a dog trying to fight, and one does dog fighting, if you will.
Honestly, I thought a lot about Ace Combat 7 while I was playing Squadrons. Mainly how much better it was than Squadrons. And very sad about it. Because this is the type of game that you wanted when you were a little kid. If you grew up watching Star Wars, you wanted a game like Squadrons, but with a good storyline and good gameplay and like well thought out and not half-assed and not rushed out. But they just didn't deliver it. They delivered you a shell that they hope you'll spend $40 on. And they got my 40.
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did. Dude, you can go back and play the original Rogue Squadron and it was 10 times better. Not even not even with rose tinted glasses, like straight up. It's just more of a game. Way more of a game.
I honestly do not doubt that at all. I haven't went back and played Rogue Squadron since I originally had it as a kid, but I wouldn't be surprised because I remember when Rogue Squadron first came out on the N64, it was a big deal. Like, it not only was it critically acclaimed and heralded by everyone, it was like people that didn't play video games were like, oh, you play video games? Do you have Rogue Squadron?
Yeah.
Like, I had adults come up to me when I was like 15 or 14 years old or however old I was when Rogue Squadron came out. And I'd have adults that didn't play video games walk up to me like, you play video games, right? Do you have Rogue Squadron? Like in this weird, like, lustful way, like it's forbidden or something. Like, it was a zeitgeist type of game.
Yeah. The only thing that Rogue Squadron doesn't have is just having the Imperial side playable.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm okay with now. After seeing what they did with the Empire in this game, I'm okay with that.
That wasn't the Empire.
No, it wasn't.
That was the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, but I do think that this game sort of proves that as far as VR goes, the cockpit-based vehicle games are now a primary genre of VR. And I think that from now on, you're going to see these types of games develop for VR first. Because they just fit too well.
Yeah, it's a shame that they couldn't put a third-person view in for at least the console and PC ports, non-VR.
I wouldn't be surprised if a patch added it later. I think that this game could get a lot of post-release content because of how skimpy the original release is.
Yeah, it's pretty weak.
But what did you think about the stylized, like, hipster propaganda preludes and prologues? Like, they do those, like propaganda-style little drawn art cutscene things? I don't even know what to call them.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah, I mean...
What'd you think about those?
So they were as lame as the rest of the game.
Okay, good. Yeah, I, that was one where I wasn't sure if I was out of touch or not, but whenever I saw one of those come up, I was just like, man, is this a Boost Mobile commercial right now?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were trying to get away with there. Like, I was like, are you guys trying to be like modern or something? Like, let's be modern in a futuristic IP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel me, dog?
Yeah, it was not good, and man, it was definitely made to try and woo Instagram millennials to this game. Like, you can just tell that they're like, we're going to do this, we're going to put it in the trailer, we're going to spread it all over Instagram and Twitter, and we're going to try and get all of these blue check marks to like our game and to promote it.
Dude, they're so off the fucking mark. It's unbelievable. Kids don't give a fuck about Star Wars nowadays.
Nope.
Star Wars is memes to them.
Yep.
They talk about boomers.
Exactly. It's boomer stuff.
Yeah, it's boomer shit. Like, they're like, why do we give a fuck about Star Wars?
Oh my God. It's so true. It's so true.
They're desperately trying to get these kids to give a flying fuck about this shit when they could just be spending all that money on new IP, you know? Desperately trying to make something new for these kids to cling on to and relate to. You know?
I do. And I'm also half surprised that neither the Rebel Alliance nor the Empire referred to themselves as the Squad during this campaign. But
AOC and Elon Omar represent the greatest squad of all time. It's going to be great.
Yeah. But, you know, I sound very negative about this game, and I am negative about it, but I do want to reiterate how good the engine is and how unfair it is to whoever designed it, how bad of a game this ended up being. That guy is probably crying in his Cheerios right now about what was done to him and his engine that he made, because the controls, the physics, the point of view, the ship mechanics, all of the core gameplay is so good, and it's so ripe for a good game designer to come in and make a good game out of it. But it didn't happen.
Oh, I guarantee you that's what they sold them on, though.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, here, start making the base idea for what you think's a good game, and if it's good, we'll just get we'll get the heavy hitters in here, bro. We're gonna make sure your idea flies, man. You're gonna be fucking so big. People are gonna be talking about how you made the coolest Star Wars game of all time, and then fucking, isn't it like, 2 years down the line, they're like, all right, I got the physics and everything down pretty well. They're like, okay, cool. Sweet, you're done. Your contract's over. What are you talking about? I thought we were gonna have the best team of all. A team, Duke of New York, ain't number one. Yeah, and you're not on it. Bye.
I feel like we just listened to the actual conversation just now. That seemed very accurate, I'm gonna say.
Telling you, dude. Hollywood, hit me up.
And what also is accurate is to say that the Empire got 100% shafted in this campaign in the ending. So
yeah.
So the last two levels, the second to last is Empire, and the last is Rebels, as we mentioned in the non-spoiler segment. They choreograph who's going to win, obviously. And not only do they choreograph who's going to win, and they make it this like dumb ending where you're not even sure if the game's over. You're like, wait, that was it? Oh, okay. Like you mentioned earlier, like it's just like one of those endings where you're like not even sure if it's the end or not. Not only do they do all that, they just pretend like the Empire didn't exist in the end. They don't give you a recap. They don't show you any scenes with the Empire people, like in an aftermath scenario. They just straight up pretend like it never happened and it was always just the Rebel Alliance the entire time. And that is so fucking laughable.
Yeah. I think it's just someone forgot at the end.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah.
Didn't we have like an entire half of a faction that was...
Yeah, there was these two squads that were supposed to like meet up and actually have a moment, right?
God. Well, what do you think about the ending? So now that we're at the ending, what are your real thoughts on the ending? Because I thought it was one of the biggest thuds of all time.
It was absolutely the biggest thud of all time. There was a letdown. There was no conclusion. There there was not one character ended up like becoming anything. Like I referenced with Fleck earlier, like where it was this like he was the only character to reference some hope of like, being something in the storyline. Nope.
Nope.
You could forget about Fleck about I don't know, about 6 episodes in.
Yeah. It man, that was sad because I really like Bosk a lot, and when I first saw that there was a Bosk alien on the Rebel Alliance, I was pretty psyched about it. And it immediately was dampered by his simping in the very first mission he was in. What was it, like one of the strong woman leaders of the squad's like, yeah, I did this thing, this cool maneuver, I learned it. Hey, Bosk alien guy, do you want to learn it? And he's like, oh, no, I'm scared. That's only for strong women to learn. I'm gonna wait for you guys to perfect it, and then maybe I'll take your breadcrumbs. Well, I wanted to kill myself when I was listening to that.
And every time they're talking, like having little quips on the in game, it's he's always just like, oh, thank God you're there, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All the female, let's just be real, almost all the characters in this game are female, but all the female characters, all of their like little quip text is really like super masculine, like I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger and I'm going to give you this like one-liner where it's just super off-putting because it's like not every single woman is Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Barely any men are Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, what are you doing right now with all these females with this exact same personality of super masculinity? It makes no fucking sense. And then all the men act like women. It's literally Bizarro Land.
It's not Bizarro Land. It's 2020.
Goddamn.
I mean,
Broadcaster Nickels, stand down and stand by.
I mean, this is Star Wars. It's the future, not the present. But they want it to be like the present, which they're hoping will be more like the future soon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so sad, too, because one of the few bright spots is that there's like a major character that dies. It's Lyndon Javes. He dies. And then in the last... he dies in the second to last mission, and finally something of some weight happens in this stupid fucking game. He dies
for the cause, though, right?
Yeah. So I didn't like the character. I didn't like the voice actor. I didn't like the faction. I didn't like anything, but I liked the death. I thought it was like, okay, finally we have some stakes. Finally we have some weight, something that matters in the storyline. Something finally happened. The very next fucking mission, he just magically resurrects like the Phoenix. No explanation of how. He just flies out of a fucking ship. Oh, God, I fucking hate this game's storyline so fucking much. This was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my fucking life, and I wanted to punch my monitor when it happened.
He had to be a martyr, all right? He had to do it. It's for the storyline. He said, the storyline sucks so bad, I gotta spice it up somehow.
There are absolutely no stakes in the storyline. There's no character development. There's no character investment. Nothing matters. It just, nothing has any weight to it. And the few times something almost does, they immediately snap it back.
You never even get told the actual instance that makes Lyndon leave. At the beginning, you remember that? Mm-hmm. It's just generic. It's just like, oh, we're not killing people, are we? No. Yeah, duh, with the Empire.
We're the fucking Empire, bruh.
All right, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to have like some full circle recap, where like, the moment where he decided to leave the Empire was going to be significant in some way between those two characters, at least. No.
There's absolutely nothing significant in this game. Broadcaster Nickels' favorite level.
I think I forget if it's episode 4 or 5.
Into the Abyss?
Yeah. That one where the ship has to do the hyper jump out of that, like, thunderous purple cloud, nebulous, the cloud of gas, asteroid belt thing they're in. I don't know.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the better missions, and I also did that one in VR, and it was really fucking cool in VR.
Yeah.
My favorite mission, though, is Fire in the Heart, Mission 13. So, this is the second to last mission. This is the final Empire mission. And the reason I like this mission so much is it has some seriously varied gameplay in it. So, basically, you're going after the Rebel Alliance Death Star. You're going to attack it. You're going to destroy it. You do eventually destroy it to the point where you need to go inside and sabotage it. So you start flying into it like Wing Commander style. And you're like in this tractor wave, and you have to like fly really weird through the ship because of the gravity from this beam. And it presented really unique gameplay compared to the rest of the game. Like, it was very different. And so you get in through all this stuff and you get to the heart of the core, and then there's like this circular room with like 9 little gravity core machines you have to destroy. But while you're trying to destroy them, there's like this vacuum wave pushing you in circles in this room. So a lot of very divergent gameplay in this mission. And then once you do beat those cores, then you have an escape sequence where you have to like go to the exit, and then it like punches you out like a bullet, and you have to fly through all these little circles like Star Fox style. And if you miss one by an inch, you just blow up instantly. Yeah. That, for my money, was the coolest mission in the entire game. I had a lot of fun in that mission, and I didn't even do it in VR. I kind of wish I did. I almost want to go back and do that one in VR just because of how cool that last part was. But for my money, that's the best level in the game.
It's definitely the most bang for your buck, for sure.
That being said, least favorite level.
All of them.
Every...
I don't know which one's the worst, to be honest. I'm going to say episode 1, because it just sets such a lame precedent.
Yeah. Episode 1's a strong choice. Level 1. The betrayal scene a mile wide. My least favorite level is Mission 3, Through Enemy Line. And we kind of talked about it a bit in the review. This is the mission where you're in generic space. Nothing really of substance is happening. It's a very short mission. And at the end, you realize that the mission was a second tutorial. This mission was just a second tutorial. There was no substance to it. They just wanted to teach you how to drift. And I took umbrage with this mission. This was an insult to my intelligence.
Is one of the 14 missions.
One of 14. A tutorial? Okay. 2 of 14? Fuck you. And that's what Through Enemy Line was. And that being said, Broadcaster Nickels, here on the Crack Cellar, we have a little segment we call the hit, the miss, and the whiff. In that segment, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your hit?
The hit is that guy was taking off of his fat blunt when he went down with his ship. I forget his name.
He had a cool name. I forget his name too, but I remember he had a cool name.
I think it was Admiral Goth or Groff or something. I don't know.
It kills me I can't remember it, because I remember when I first saw him, I was like, he has a cool fucking name too.
He was definitely the hit. He was the only part of the storyline where I was just like, amen, brother. I wish I was done with this fucking storyline too.
I wish it ended with you, bro. Yeah, he was like the only legit Empire character in the entire game. Like, every other character was a woke millennial cosplaying an Empire. This guy was a legit Empire character. Like, he was. My hit is the Frostbite engine. I think that the Frostbite engine and what they were able to do with it in this game is really amazing for how shitty of a game it is, for how little effort went into it, for how quick the development turnover was, for how rushed it was. They managed to ink out an amazing core gameplay in the Frostbite engine for space-based dogfighting. And that was what stood out to me the most about this game, is like, oh, Like, we are at this place with tech where we could make one of these games really fucking good now. This ain't it, but we could.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Probably won't ever get it either.
Yeah.
As long as companies like EA and Activision own the fucking rights to Star Wars.
We need to give the rights to From Software.
Dude, that'd be too much.
The world ain't ready for that shit.
Fucking, you start seeing Jedi floating pyramids and shit, and third eyes opening and whatnot, dude.
That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your miss?
My miss. I think my miss is probably, if I'm being objective, is just the lack of ships in this. This game had one thing going for it that was good, was the gameplay. It's pretty good. The ships were weak. And they got 3 ships each side. Lame. They even had some ships they didn't even let you use that I saw. Like the Z-Wing or whatever it is I saw flying around.
Yeah, there were 4 ships, weren't there?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
4 ships
4.
on each side.
4 is still kind of a lame amount, I agree, but God, why didn't they just remaster Rogue Squadron?
Or Shadows the Empire.
The world ain't ready for that shit.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how much of a pedigree Star Wars games have, and they've just screwed the pooch so bad lately?
They sold them to the devil. Sold the rights to the devil.
Yeah, we need to take these rights from EA right the fuck now. The best Star Wars game that EA ever made is called Galaxy of Heroes. It's a fucking phone game. And that's sad as fuck. And I don't like it.
It's not right.
It ain't. But that being said, my miss is the Titan Squadron, a.k.a. the Empire team that you play on. Fuck these people. First of all, you have Teresa Carroll, who was betrayed by her teacher and is bent on revenge and has absolutely no character development whatsoever. Everything she says to you is stupid. Nothing she does makes sense. She always loses. And I don't understand how she's even the commander. She was supposed to be exiled and disgraced because she was under Lyndon James when he betrayed the Empire. But all of a sudden, they're just well, we're going to promote you back up, and here's your own Star Destroyer. Have fun, kids. Stupid.
Remember, she stepped out of her rank, too, and betrayed that captain on the gas refuel station.
Yeah, that fucking mission. That was another one of those dumbass missions that you're just okay, why did this even have to exist? But
even after the fact, though, no repercussions.
Yeah. But anyway, so the Titan Squadron, we have her, Teresa Carroll, but then we have the actual squadron. We have Shen, who's this weirdo dude who's supposed to be a Darth Vader, sort of never take my helmet off, I'm half machine now, whatever, blah, blah, blah guy. But he talks like a bitch, and he talks too much. And he has no personality whatsoever. Then you have the leader, the Asian dude. I forget what his name is, but he's technically the leader of your Titan Squadron.
Sounds really memorable.
He does absolutely nothing. He barely talks. He barely does anything. And then the rest of the team is just generic woke teenagers. That are it's just this is not the fucking Empire, dude. What the fuck are you doing?
It's the remnants of the Empire.
Dude, no, this was unforgivable. What they did to the Empire, Titan Squadron, it was a joke. It was a big fucking joke. All their dialogue, none of it was Empire-esque. There was a whole bunch of are we sure we're doing the right thing, guys? Bitch, if you said that in the Empire, you would be fucking executed on the spot. These fuckers are on public comms being you guys sure we should be doing this? Is this the right thing to do? All the time. Just oh, shut the fuck up. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, what is your whiff?
The purchase of this game itself. I feel confused. On one hand, I'm just man, I remember playing X-Wing and TIE Fighter when I was a kid, and they were cheap and readily available, and I wasn't disappointed for what I got. Fast forward to 2020, paying $40, and I'm thinking, well, it has to be at least better than TIE Fighter.
I'll bet you would trade your license to Star Wars Squadrons for the original set of floppy disks that installed TIE Fighter right now, wouldn't you? If someone offered it to you right now and said, here are the floppy disks, my dude, straight up trade, you'd take it.
No doubt.
No doubt. And that is the ultimate indictment on this game. And my whiff is just the storyline in general. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because we've basically been talking about it the entire fucking review. The storyline is a fucking joke from all angles, from all sides. There's no good dialogue. All of the side content is stupid. When you're in between missions in the hangar and you talk to these characters, every single conversation is nonsensical bullshit. There is nothing worthwhile in this storyline at all. Every moment you think has weight has none. Every moment you think is important is not. Every cameo you see happen is pointless, and it all ends with a death being magically reversed for no reason, with no explanation, with no ending. The end. Enjoy your fucking game, slave. That being said, Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, here on the Crack Cellar Podcast, we have an official Joker rating system we use in all of our reviews. On that system, what do you rate Star Wars Squadrons?
L for Leto.
Bad L.
That's a bad L, dude. Jared, rest in peace. I'm sorry it had to be this way.
Damn. Giving it the Leto, huh?
Yeah.
That is some sad shit.
I was not impressed with the game.
There ain't too much to be impressed with. That being said, I'm going to give it a Cesar Romero. It's not a strong Caesar. It's only
not a powerful Caesar.
No, it's not at all. And honestly, this is like such a weak Caesar that it kind of borderlines on like a Kamala Harris rather than a Cesar Romero. But
Kamala.
You know that picture where you see her with the Joker laugh and like the blacked out eyes? Have you ever seen that picture?
Yeah.
That's like the in-between rank between Cesar Romero and Jared Leto in my heart. That's kind of the unofficial in-between rank. And I think we get close to that with this game.
We call it Kamala descending.
The only reason I don't give this game a Jared Leto is because of the respect I have for the person that designed the engine and the core gameplay. It was good, and it was fucking corrupted. He handed them... I could only imagine being a game designer myself and being handed an engine like this and said, you make a game out of this. Here you go. And for me to produce such a big steaming pile of dog shit in response to that and hand it back to this guy and be like, here's what I did, bro. It's fucking sad. It's a travesty, and I feel bad as fuck for that guy, whoever he is. I know you're out there. You're probably not listening to this, but I feel for you, dude. You did good work, and they fucking ruined it. And with that, we will close out.
Or Catherine Zeta-Jones, I think, is still banging Michael Douglas.
You're on the wrong side of history, Broadcaster Nickels.